Hello, this is a brief review of the recently completed GCCS J4209 course upgrade. My name is Jeff Garland. There were three primary partners working on this project. The first being UUA from the 336 Training Squadron, which is a System Administration Training Office. The second is the contracting firm of CSC, who have been contracted to provide assistance to the 336 Training Squadron. And the final office that assisted was the official training manager, Larry Peoples. There were 6 primary objectives for this project. They're listed up on the screen. It was a hardware upgrade, loading the new software onto the new hardware that has been purchased and installed. Following that, a team or multiple teams developed new course material to be used for the class, and after that we had to provide upgrade training for all the instructors, especially the initial cadre, to provide training for our first class in March. After that training, we had to write all the test quizzes, etc., which we call measurement devices, and send them to Texas for approval at headquarters AETC. And finally, we had to officially qualify our instructors by taking the tests that have been approved. This is a little bit more detailed of our first goal, and that was the purchase of the T4 Sun servers that are required for each class. Approximately 8 to 9 servers were purchased for each class, with the details listed in prior reports for the overall costs. This was completed by the training manager, who is the money manager for the course. He worked with the CSC contracting office, our field engineer offices, to ensure, or try to ensure, we have the correct hardware and that is compatible with our existing hardware. All funds for our course management, and especially this upgrade, is provided by Headquarters Joint Chiefs of Staff. This was one of the examples of mistakes made during this project, which we'll discuss in greater detail in a minute. But basically, due to the incompatibility of our existing keyboards in our classrooms, we had an overage on our budget of $3,669 for purchase of the required new keyboards. Following the installation of the new hardware, once we got the correct keyboards in, we installed the software on our 4 classes, which teaches 4 separate courses, loaded the software and modified it for our use in an unclassified classroom environment. From this point on in the project, there are no financial costs due to the fact that all personnel costs are already built into existing contracts and personnel agreements. So after the initial purchase and additional purchase of our keyboards, money-wise, the project is self-sufficient. The next objective was to develop the new documentation after the instructors, or the SMEs, which are the subject matter experts, have had their hands on the software. Then they begin to develop the new text, handout, slides, and software tools that are used in the classroom. These SMEs, for during the lifetime of the course, are basically the most experienced and most technically capable instructors that we have, and they pretty much own their course on a technological and learning period. This development was expedited because of the fact that we have done multiple upgrades over the last 5 years that I've been here, and each upgrade we have lesson learned that we forward to, and forward and keep for ourselves, so that that enabled this new course software to be developed much more smoothly than prior ones. Once the documentation is completed, the hardware is installed, the software is modified, our next objective was to give 20 instructors overall, but especially the initial cadre, training on this new software. They're giving the designated amount of time to sit with the systems and become adjusted and accustomed to the new software and how it works and how it relates to the new class material that we've got. With the early finish of the prior task, we were able to migrate some of the instructors to this new project to enable an early completion of not only the prior but this objective. Following the review of the new material by the instructors, once the instructors have looked at it and did any final changes and modifications that have been discovered by more eyes being on the classroom material, all the material is gathered up and the measurement devices, tests, progress checks, quizzes, etc. are written per AET standard. Following this, it's sent via digital email to headquarters AETC for the very long review and approval. This is the one step along the critical path which is most likely to cause problems in future classroom upgrades. We accomplished a failure mode and effect analysis and got an RPN number of 300, which after completing one on all the other taskings, it was 190 points higher than any other step. So this is the one step that I'll mention now and later that needs to be reviewed and seen if whether the process can be streamlined a little bit better. Now, following the completion of that prior step, which I want to go back and mention that knowing the high risk of that step, what was done to enable or to try to make sure it was completed on time was that Larry Peoples, on almost a 3 times a week basis, was in voice communication and email communication with the point of contact that he has at headquarters AETC, which is the details are mentioned in the attached reports, but this should not have to be done if the process is corrected for future use, but just wanted to pass along that that's what was done to help ensure that it was completed on time, and actually it was completed a few days ahead of time, probably thanks to the constant communication between the training manager and Randolph Air Force Base in Texas. So back to this step, once we got the final approval of our testing material or measurement devices, that allowed, based on Air Force regulations, the instructors aren't officially qualified until they take every version of every test from every class and get at least a grade of 95. So we were on standby until we did receive that documentation back. Following that in testing and qualification for all the instructors, it's recorded into the records, and that would be the official successful completion of this project. There were 3 major lessons learned that I felt we got from this project. First one is the need to go deeper into the purchasing process and basically get a physical examination and testing prior to spending the full amount of money on the equipment. We need to test one particular piece or one of each and test it with and test to confirm the compatibility with our legacy equipment that we already have installed in the classroom or as part of the training network. The second one was the fact that with 20 available instructors and our relaxed schedule for the upgrade, I believe it was almost 6 months, we were able to provide the needed manpower out of that 20 to do the taskings of the project while still supporting a full schedule of training for the 4.1 classes. There's an option, AETC does give us an option to suspend training if needed to prepare for the upgrade, but that was not needed for this particular upgrade, but it is an option. If we had suspended training, then we have an estimate that we could have cut the overall length of the project to just under 50% of the existing time. And finally, the objective of requiring measurement devices to be approved and reviewed by headquarters AETC needs to be examined by a Tiger team. Tiger team basically is an Air Force team that's put together to answer questions and to expedite or enter efficiencies into any kind of tasking. But I believe from experience of this project and experience in the training environment, the three primary offices that should be part of this training team would be the 336th commander or representative of his, the 2nd Air Force, which basically owns the training done by the 336th and other computer training squadrons, and finally AETC, which is the Air Force Education and Training Command, which is the overall owner of all training within the Air Force. A few notes on the post-project activities that are being accomplished following the completion in March of 2013. All the old equipment is being inventoried at this time by the CSC field engineer. Following the inventory and the value determination is going to be transferred to DRMO, which is basically a reseller for the Defense Department in Florida via Keesler Air Force Base Communication Squadron. All documentation, records, files, and student training material will be stored digitally on the 336th shared drive. The physical records per Air Force regulation will be stored in Larry Peoples' office until such time that it's required to be moved to a storage warehouse. All these records, both physical and digital, have always been available to the 336th Training Squadron GCCS folks, but what is not being done is the sharing of this information and lesson learned between the other courses within the 336th that all teach similar computer classes, maybe not this advanced, but they could still use the information that we've learned within this project, as they are, similar computer classes. In addition, all the other training courses at Keesler, although they may not be computer based, are similar enough that perhaps they could use some of the information and some of the lessons learned for their own courses. And that is the end of this demonstration. Thank you very much.